This is where the journey begins, from the pitch to the pontoon, the places we build, the lives we shape, and the people who keep it all moving. Parks, marinas, communities and businesses, bold ideas, real conversations. It's time to hear what really happens behind the gates and beyond the gangways. Welcome to From Pitch to Pontoon. Today's episode is brought to you by Elite Manufacturers, the custom-built software for holiday home, park home and park model RV manufacturers. Powered by Microsoft Dynamics 365, it brings your operations, sales and supply chain into one powerful platform. Work smarter, serve your customers better and grow with confidence with Elite Manufacturers.
Hey, I'm Andrew.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Callum, and welcome to today's episode of From Pitch to Pontoon. It's nice to be back. How are you both doing this morning?
Very well,
Living
thank you very
my
much.
Best life.
Oh dear, at least I need to pick me up. And I think I've got a bit of news. So this will be our fourth episode that's going live. And we are now officially an international podcast.
Wow.
So hello to our listeners in Greece.
Greece? Okay.
In Greece, yeah, we've got listeners over in Greece there at the moment.
Brilliant.
So hello and welcome.
Oh, I feel like we
hello
should
and
learn
welcome.
how to say something in
I
Greek
probably
now
should have
for
done
our
that
next-
before we
We
got
should.
started.
As
Yeah.
it branches out into different countries, we should learn.
Yeah.
We'll need to
Should
get our
learn
Duolingo on the go.
Yeah.
Especially, and we'll probably talk about this more in the future, but we might need to learn some Italian for the coming months. We can't say anything yet on that. I'm keeping secrets this week, Lisa. But we will we'll tell you more as we're going along. This week, though, is all about caravans, lodges, motorhomes. We are jumping into the world of manufacturing. Three of us have got extensive experience on the parks and dealing with manufacturing.
I actually worked for a manufacturer for a year.
Did you?
You
Didn't know
that
that?
one, did you?
No,
I did.
What
I
were you doing?
was 18. I actually worked on a park for them and then as an account manager for, little story, I had to work on a park for this particular manufacturer for, I think it was like 8 months because I wasn't old enough to have a company car. That's how long I've been doing this for.
Wow.
So I had to work on a park first, and then for the last 3 or 4 months, I was account manager going around the country selling this particular model.
So this week we've got an interview lined up, which you'll be able to hear. We're joined by Harry Rix from the Rix Group. So if you're not familiar with the title Rix Group, you might not know who they are. You're probably more familiar with their businesses. They've got Victory, Prestige, and most recently, Atlas.
I think sometimes it's easy for us to forget just how much pressure that the manufacturers are actually under. It's not just about building something and delivering it anymore. They have to rethink their design. They have to react to market shifts and somehow hit deadlines and the price points, which is a huge thing these
And
days.
I think we'll hear that from Harry when you listen to the conversation, that trying to balance the quality that Victory are known for with the price point that consumers
huge.
are looking to pay.
Yeah.
And the rethink of the designs. I mean, if you think back to where caravans were, I think when I started to live in them,
No lights.
no
No
lights,
gas.
no gas. You'd wake up in the morning, your gas bottle would be frozen. You couldn't get any heating on. Single glaze that you're cuddled up in front of those old gas fires on the floor trying to stay warm. They've come a long, long way since
Yeah,
then.
they really, really have.
Yeah. You can actually move in them these days as well, you know.
That's the biggest thing, isn't it? There's so, like literally like apartments. It's incredible how far they've come now. Incredible.
Do you not remember, like, back in the day, sharing with your siblings and, like, smacking each other in the twin bedroom?
Literally, you would, yeah. Oh,
Do you know, I never did the caravan holiday thing when I was a kid.
Did you not?
Yeah. The
We
first time I
did.
stepped into a caravan was when I moved into one on park.
We definitely did caravan holidays.
Yeah, I know. We did when we were younger as well.
Yorkshire.
Yeah.
You learned all the dances and everything while you were there.
Oh.
You missed out, Callum. You missed out.
You have missed out a lot there. How have you not had
So
caravan
much.
holidays when
Well,
you were younger?
we say that, but then I went on to be a holiday park entertainer for like a
But
good
you still
10,
didn't
12
get
years.
You still didn't get to witness it in action. You still didn't get to do the Macarena and Saturday
Yeah.
night.
I think
and all
you'll find that I had to do the Macarena every single night for years, party dances, all the kids' entertainment, so I am very well versed in that side of things.
So, guys, I think it's time for us to have a look at the interview that I had with Harry. This is an amazing interview, must watch, really insightful.
Here we
I
go.
heard you had a lovely time.
Today's guest is someone who brings a rare blend. I knew that was going to happen. Start again.
If this is a TikTok.
No, I just can't read Scottish. Today, hold on. Right, I'm ready. Today's guest is someone who brings a rare blend of entrepreneurial energy and long-term thinking to every conversation, and someone who believes transformation only works when people, culture, and strategy move together. Harry Rix is the Chief Digital Officer at the Rix Group, a 150-year-old family business with a diverse portfolio spanning manufacturing, energy, property, and leisure, including 3 leading holiday home brands: Victory Leisure Homes, Prestige Home Seeker, and Atlas. From digitising legacy operations to scouting future investment opportunities, Harry is shaping how the next generation of holiday home experiences will look, feel, and function. We're going to explore what that transformational journey looks like today and what's next for an industry at the crossroads of innovation, lifestyle, and leisure.
Harry, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure after that intro.
Yeah, I know. How are we going to carry on from that?
It's only downhill from here.
It really is, isn't it? Only downhill from here. Well, thanks very much for joining us today, Harry. We've worked together for quite a few years now. Started off on the Victory brand and sort of moved into to assist things through the Rix Group. How do you define digital transformation within the context of holiday home manufacturing?
Yeah, well, first off, good morning, everybody. I define digital transformation in the context of holiday home manufacturing. I think really it's much like any other digital transformation in any other business. I've been fortunate enough to be part of many of these projects in the past, or some would say unfortunate enough, as I know how grueling and challenging they are. But I would define it in 3 simple words. I'd define it as people, process, and technology.
Nice. Yeah.
Probably in that order as well. The people are the most important part of any digital transformation, taking them on the journey, getting their buy-in, making sure they understand the why behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
Once you have got the people on the journey, defining what the processes are so that you understand exactly what it is that you're trying to build a system around, and you know, well, you basically got a structure to put a system around. Without that process, you're basically, it's impossible to design requirements and
Absolutely.
what you need to build. And then the last bit, which is the icing on the cake, is the technology and what you actually build for people. And then the challenge is always adoption of that technology. So if you haven't got the first 2 things defined, you're really going to struggle in the last phase. And the holiday home industry, to add a nice little bit of flavor to that, it's it is, I'd say, fairly old school in its approach in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
So you really, really have to focus on the first element to take people on the journey, because it is digital skills is a really important layer to not forget in the holiday home industry. People are pretty friendly in this industry, so once you get them on side, it's amazing what kind of things you can achieve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's something that us at Elite Dynamics can echo as well, certainly from the people aspect, is when Jermaine, Nicola and Jack started Elite, the biggest thing for us was people, and it's one of the main reasons why we don't have an office, because we wanted the best in class from anywhere in the world. And to ensure that certainly from the holiday home industry, we had a lovely blend of Microsoft experience but holiday home experience as well. And so it's one of the things where we are aligned with that, where people are absolutely number one, followed by everything else.
And that's probably one of the key differences between one of our digital transformations.
Yes.
The holiday home manufacturer, you have to really be physically present for your business analysis, which I know is the same for you with parks, but you've got a lot of different decentralized locations, haven't you? Where you're
absolutely, yeah,
beautiful parts of the country and the world now that world domination's on the cards with. But for us, actually physically looking at the processes,
yes,
the people with the tools doing the job is so important. So we have, obviously, developers can be in any location, but the actual business analysts and people watching what needs to be done, they have to really be
They
as
need to be in it, don't they?
business as possible. It's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah. And how are you using technology to improve customer engagement and internal operations?
That's a big question.
It is, isn't it?
You want the full strategy? I mean,
Yes.
where do you want to start in terms of like I'd say everything really is underpinned. We're using technology, we're putting processes around things to drive data in every single aspect of our business.
Brilliant.
And I would say that data is the absolute key to driving operational improvement and driving customer experience. For so long, this industry has relied upon conversations,
Yes.
anecdotal evidence, and really trying to change the dial on that to actually provide insight on, when a unit is on the line, how many shortages it has, when it sits in the yard, is it ready to be dispatched? If it's ready to dispatch, how long is it likely to take to get it to be ready to dispatch? Informing the customer about that is the next stage for us on the journey. So we've now got all that information internally for us to analyze, but then actually starting to share that with our customers is the next part of the journey. Now,
that's bridging the gap, isn't it? That's not been there before.
Exactly. And it's that where you get the real value, because you can start to communicate. You can communicate self-serve instead of communicating via those conversations. And
Absolutely.
we know that's how people like to communicate in this modern age. Is, everyone loves a conversation. We're never going to take those away, but it's more, the information's there at your fingertips if you need it. And other things, after sales is something that we've worked on, Andy, for a long time at Victory.
Of course.
Which we're going to move into Prestige as well. But informing customers of when parts are ordered, when they've been delivered, when the engineer is going to be sent out for actually solving the job, when the job's been completed, all those types of bits of information are the next step on our journey. Now that we have all the kind of like internal plumbing behind the scenes to make it possible. So really it all comes down to data and then providing some shiny front end experiences for people to engage with that data.
Brilliant. And watching certainly from the Victory perspective, and I know Prestige is is a newer brand to your portfolio, but certainly watch Victory grow. I remember back in the Cosalt days, and it's grown massively, since it's been within the Rix portfolio, and the brand is special. It's quality, and I know it's a customer focused brand, and I can see that through all the operations that you do. It's really gonna, again, resonates with what we do with partners first. It's again, it goes back to what we first said about people. It is about the people at the heart of it, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. You do all these fancy things, but it is a relationship industry that we work in. And
it is.
That's something that is great, and you've got to leverage that and build fantastic relationships. But we need to take it to that next level where we support those relationships actually with some serious, data and insights, which I know you guys are pushing massively in the industry. And I suppose we're coming at it less from park operations, but from your product supply. So that's where it's worked so nicely with us being aligned on that journey over the last few years.
With sort of data in mind being the key for everything that you do, what role does data specifically play in your approach from the customer preferences and operational feedback?
Yeah, it's something that I want us to do more and more of. If my background is software development, and you always looked at what users were using, what features, and when you're coming from a software development background, that's quite straightforward because you've got all those insights because things are tracked in a database.
Absolutely.
It's a lot more difficult when it's a product that we send it off, and that product then it's a non-digital product in a lot of ways. When the data that we get back can be quite anecdotal, and that can be from a few different stakeholders. So what we've started doing is we've started hosting a lot of sales teams at our experience center. So that's a fantastic facility that we have in Gilberdike, which is where the old...
I've been there a few times. It's amazing there, isn't it?
Yeah, we've just invested in revamping it. So it's got a showground with all of our units on it, and it's also got spaces that are co-working spaces, collaboration spaces.
Oh, wow.
And we're inviting a lot of our, the sales teams of the parks that we work with for them to have a training day, learn about our products, but in return, what information they tell us about the units that we're selling. So that's quite anecdotal. It's not necessarily quantitative, it's very qualitative. But we are also trying to start to get some quantitative insights on which units are driving the highest average rate.
Brilliant.
We're also working with Landau, for example, on designing a unit that's got feedback from maintenance teams. So, where would they like cupboards to be able to get cleaning equipment? You design a unit so that an automated Hoover might be able to move around the unit. All those types of things. So not just necessarily customer experience, but also maintenance and like that park operations perspective as well. And I'm really excited for how that's going to start to shape our products. And then the final thing is as well, obviously, we're now moving more into vertical integration and having some interest in parks ourselves in terms of financing.
Of course.
We've done, or if we've actually taken some equity in a park. And that gives us direct views into things like, booking.
Completes the circle, doesn't it? You've then got all aspects of that journey involved in.
100%. And we're already, now it means we have like a direct line to someone that's invested in the best possible product from
Yes.
And that's led to some really interesting feedback. Just little things like, where a socket's placed in a unit, or
it's huge. Yeah.
Bin space, things like that, where, in Wales, they've got to have lots of different bins for all the cycling options. And it's like, you've got to think of those things, like the new Lumiere that we've got, the glamping pod unit. Do we actually need a dishwasher in that? Would we be better just having more bin space? Things like that, where you think about, it's all the, small little bits, but that create a lot of value.
Yeah. No, I think that's really exciting. And, I spent 15, 20 years on holiday parks, and sort of the last 12 years looking after hire fleet. And it is huge when you are managing that hire fleet on a park and you're thinking, well, where do we put this? So we can't put it in there because there's no space. We have to carry it back. And when you're trying to run an efficient operation, it's hard when you're trying to think of, well, the Hoover has to come backwards and forwards. This has to come backwards and forwards in it. So to actually get on the ground and thinking of those teams, I think is golden. I think it's a hats off to you, sir. I think that's a good one.
Well, journey. We're not. It's continuous improvement. Like anything.
Of course.
It's we're in those conversations and we're thinking about those things. It take a while to get it right, and it's a journey that we're on. But it's exciting, and
it is.
It definitely makes you feel proud about the products that we're building. When it's not just someone that's thought of an idea and come in and thought, brilliant, we're just gonna build this. It's got a lot more behind it nowadays, and that's only a journey that's going to continue to improve.
Continue on.
So, just having a strategy and like thinking strategically about the types of technology you're using and what you're using them for and how it links into everything else is important. So there's always different choices that you can make, aren't there, about systems and what you can use. But
and you're absolutely right. I think adoption is key in everything we do. In all our products, we see across our customer base where in some areas it's really successful and in some areas it's not. And it is about user adoption and making sure that the team buy into it and they use the tools that you're trying to give them. If again, and that goes back to data as well. The data that comes out is only as good, and those analytics and those insights are only good if at the start of the process it's going in the right way and everybody's adopting it in the way they should. What shifts in consumer expectations are you preparing for?
Yeah, I think the market out there in the holiday home industry, as everybody knows, is pretty challenging.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot more drive to fleet, and secondhand sales been fairly buoyant, but new unit sales been challenging.
Okay.
Then I'll come on to park homes in a minute, but that's more just in the holiday homes sector, or what we're seeing. So I think really with that comes changing consumer expectations of what the units are that we offer, because people currently aren't buying the high to middle end units in any significant volume. It's they're wanting more value, cost efficient models. So we have to react to that and still deliver quality, but think about how we do that in a way that is at a lower price point. So obviously that's extremely challenging, but that comes in the way of taking out things like appliances that might not be necessary, thinking really critically about where we actually invest the money in the units. So things like, maybe putting an air fryer in a fleet unit instead of
Okay. Yeah.
oven, or little things like that can make quite a big difference. I think what we'll see is some new units at a cheaper price point,
Yes.
and then also looking at fleet and how we do fleet in a really interesting way. So like looking at our Lumiere product, for example, we're seeing that do really, really well, which is like the glamping pod type unit.
Yeah.
It's not an expensive unit in the grand scheme of a holiday home, but what it is it's really unique, and it provides a really high average weekly rate for anybody that has it on park. And it's very different to the standard retail sales model. It's, you are having a fleet operation that requires turnarounds, bookings are last minute, unique stay that maybe needs you got to make it nicer than someone's home. So having a hot tub there to go with it. So that unit comes with an integrated deck. So it's really, the price might be slightly higher than our cheapest holiday home, but actually you don't pay for decking. It's easy to site. It's
Okay.
goes nicely with a hot tub. It's built for that market. So I think we'll look at doing more units like that to
Brilliant.
unique. And then when it comes to park homes, obviously Prestige, now we're in the park home market as well as the holiday
I was
home.
going to ask you about the residential side, because that's a completely different market, isn't it?
Definitely, and we believe there's a real opportunity in the holiday home market to actually look at that slightly different and do a higher end product that doesn't necessarily look like a park home.
Yes.
That enables us to offer a product that can be, I don't want to say affordable housing, I want to just say, a cheaper alternative when someone's looking to downsize, but can be in quite an aspirational park home that is on a nice park that's maybe got some shared facilities and things like that. As we see a more aging demographic, people looking to retire and downsize, release some equity, they can move into this type of unit, and it's it's aspirational and a new community for someone to live in, instead of just being like what
a typical park home looks like.
So bringing some of the products and services that we use on the holiday home side, like some of the finishes on the cladding and things like that, and bringing those across to the park home sector. So
interesting.
Yeah, it should watch this space, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting
Harry, can I just
times
take
ahead.
you back? So you were talking about the shift in the market from the high end stuff not being, I guess, shifting as quickly as it used to. It was only a couple of years ago that it was the complete opposite. Everyone was looking for the high end model. I mean, I know that I spent a load of money before I finished off in parks getting high end models onto the park because that's where the market was going. Where do you think the shifts come from?
I think it's just cost. It's all the pressures that we hear about every day on the radio. I'm an avid Radio 4 listener, and it almost drives me to the point of being kind of massively depressed. Anyway, but cost of living crisis, rising interest rates for park operators and people just in general, mortgage payments going up. It's harder for parks to get access to the capital. It's harder for people on the street to have access to money and what to spend it on. So I think that's driven, the units to not be as high spec as they used to be. But look, these things always come round, and people are still buying the higher end units, just not in the same volumes that they were previously. I think what's really important for a park is to really understand what their identity is and stick to that identity. They are a high end park. Great. We've got loads of customers that are buying beautiful Prestige and Victory units, but I'd just say the majority want to get a good price point to make sure that they've got sufficient margin, or they can offer a good price point to their end retail customer on park. So I think it's just the economics of the world that we're currently living in.
So if we were to look at how the innovations are actually going to move on the actual accommodations themselves, either smart tech, sustainability, how are you guys pushing that forward to give that full experience for potential customers?
Yeah, definitely. I think that one's challenging at the moment because, as I say, there's a real reluctance to pay more than you have to for a product at the moment, and that's
course.
really difficult for innovation. And innovation's at the heart of what we do, and that makes it really, really, really tough for us at the moment. But we've had some amazing products. The Aura that's come out of Prestige, which has got like a gull wing front, and it's when you're inside it, it basically feels like you're just outside bobbing inside. So we've done some amazing product design innovation. When it comes to like smart tech, we did the Evolution unit a couple of years ago, and
I remember that. Yeah.
that was a real kind of like showcase of all the amazing different technology that you can put into a unit. It had sustainability credentials, it had, customer experience credentials. But what we found is just in the market to really get some of those things over the line and get the customer to pay that little bit more, even if there's a return on investment, has been really difficult. But what we have seen and where we are kind of, you've got to pick your battles, and where we are kind of pushing on with that is the solar enabled units. So we've currently got Beverly Holidays down on the south coast who have taken an all electric and battery and solar enabled unit. And what's amazing is we're monitoring what the impact of all electric is on load, like peak demand, basically. But then we're also looking at how the battery is being utilized, what time the electric water heater comes on, and how you maximize the use of the battery in that new setup. And we're reviewing each month the data that we see throughout the operating season to configure the settings to be the best possible settings. So that's really on like the sustainability in the future of what the all electric caravan and moving away from dual fuel. And that's really where a lot of our kind of like innovation focus has been for the last year, I would say. And it's really exciting, some of the initial insights that we're getting from that. But it's like anything, there's no silver bullet. Some parks might be really well suited to the solar and battery solution. Other parks might be well suited to just having solar. Say if they've got like a big food and beverage and on-site facility, you might as well just hit your baseline energy usage and have enough solar panels to feed that baseline energy usage during the day, and that gives you a guaranteed really fast ROI. And we can build those now out the factory on forward orders onto the roof of the units, which is a really exciting new option.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
So it just requires a little bit more complexity in the buying journey because you have to sign off with the DNO. It's a bit like getting planning. You have to get planning before you build holiday homes. You have to get sign off with the DNO before you put a solar array onto units. So that kind of like, and we want to build it on forward orders. So you got to think we want to know 6 weeks in advance to put it into the production schedule. The DNO need to know 3 months in advance to sign off whether the grid can take the actual energy back into the grid and sign it off. So it's just kind of extends the purchase decision and really means we have to collaboratively work with parks, which we do anyway, but they have to really be bought into us.
Even more so now.
It's not like a last-minute decision. We have to really plan these in, and that's something that's difficult to train into the sales journey. Complexities, but if we can get that right, I think we can start generating electricity on the roofs of these units and actually start having a net positive impact on the park. Instead of them being a draw, they're actually feeding the park with energy. Which is really exciting. So I could talk about that all day.
So basically, if anybody actually wants one, they should probably start thinking about it now so they can get them that ready for the beginning of next year.
Yeah, and it works best on fleet, if I'm honest. Fleet plus 5 units. At the end of the day, it's.
I think that's where the majority of an issue would come for a park owner is from the fleet. Your actual holiday homeowners are going to be much more conscious of what energy they're using because they're going to be paying for it. Whereas someone that's coming on holiday, we were talking about this last week, people just going out for the day and they leave everything on and they're away, and it costs the park much more money than it needs to.
Yeah, and
so actually that would help.
The park constantly uses energy, whereas a retail owner's maybe only there every now and again. So the payback is really for the park, the retail customer. Maybe that's a big investment for them to not necessarily see a commercial return. And I think the economics always have to stack up with sustainability for it to be successful. I would always push that really it's for the park. And then if you're selling the unit and then you've got solar on the top of the park, that causes all kinds of complexities in the licensing. And you want to keep it as simple as possible at this stage. It's an innovation. We're not mature enough to make it complicated. I would always suggest, at the moment, fleet operations, let's look at designing a solution that's good for the fleet. We're planning on designing all these different solutions and having them to showcase at the parks that we're investing in, so that people can go and see the data, go see how it works, and hear firsthand from operators about the impact that these solutions can have. And I think once we've done that, that's when people will really start to see the benefit and want to work with us on installing these things.
I just want to quickly take you back to what we were talking about earlier about the building of the homes. Something that sort of find quite interesting is the quality of the brand for you is of high importance. How challenging is it to build a quality product that's also affordable and making sure that you don't lose quality to make those affordable homes?
Very difficult. We've had innovations like our beadless wall system and the Novus technology that we use at Victory. And then at Prestige, we build with SIPS panels manufacturing. I think it comes down to we never will make ourselves as cheap as everybody else, because we want to maintain the fact that we are quality. And when you buy a Victory, you know that, in the past, this might not have been the case in terms of we had challenges after COVID when we really boosted production and we learned a lot from that. Now, where we are is we want to be the highest quality manufacturer, both at Prestige and at Victory. And it's about not sacrificing that quality too much. It's about making sure that you're not priced right at the bottom. You are competitive, but when you go into a Victory and you tap the walls, it sounds solid. You jump.
Absolutely.
It's a thick floor, and that's really hard to sell to people sometimes when, unless they come and see it, they feel it, and they're like, this is a proper built unit. And, at Prestige, that's basically what the brand's all about. So we'd never, ever change that. The production processes there are absolutely second to none in terms of the quality of the build that we've got.
The build.
SIPS panel manufacturing is something that we would love to try and bring across to more holiday homes on our mass production line. But yeah, I think it's about standing up for what you believe in and not always buckling. And you don't win every deal. And if someone wants to pay peanuts, then maybe that deal isn't the deal.
Is not right. Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. And I think, again, that aligns with our thinking, doesn't it, Callum? Within Elite Dynamics, we want to be the best in class. We want to make sure that our systems, processes, and the solutions we offer are absolutely second to none. And I think it is important that you don't cheapify, if you like, the product to sort of suit some of the market.
Definitely. We do have some competitive advantages as well, in that we are financed by the Rix Group, and our borrowing is significantly less than a VC. So our interest on our borrowing, and the capital that you need, producing holiday homes is an extremely capital intensive business. If you think we've got to order the parts 6 weeks before it goes into production, we then hold on to these they go through production, we then hold on to them for a period of time, and then sometimes we're invoicing on 365-day terms.
Of course.
That's hugely capital intensive, but that cost of borrowing for us is significantly less compared to our competitors. So actually we can produce a better quality product at a very similar price point. And
of course,
that's another kind of lever that we can pull that enables us to I suppose be more efficient. And when we really get to maturity in digital transformation, you'd expect that our continuous improvement loops make us much more efficient than more traditional manufacturing where there isn't a data-driven approach. So I'd hope we can be competitive on price, but still have, a much better quality just by
quality is still there.
The significant investments that we've been making in the businesses.
Yeah. In the last 4 weeks, I think it was, you've obviously got the new acquisition of Atlas. Talk to us about Atlas and how that fits in with your sort of, Rix portfolio, if you like, and how that aligns with your sort of purchases of Victory and Prestige.
Yeah, well, we organically grew Victory, I suppose.
Of course, true. Yes.
That was in 2008, and then obviously we acquired Prestige last year because we really wanted to pin ourselves to the quality mast and also show that we could have products right the way from your entry level holiday home through to luxury lodge park homes.
Yeah.
It's really enabled us to achieve that with Victory. And then I think with Atlas, we acquired the brand name.
Okay.
So we didn't acquire the full business, but what that means is the Atlas brand is now can become synonymous with Rix, and it means that I think that the plan really is to offer a bronze, silver, gold offering. So like a heritage range in Atlas, silver, more modern look in Victory, and then with our range at the top end, look at the prestige models and also park homes as well there.
So they sort of intertwine with each other.
Definitely. And there's a journey to go there because obviously we build in 3D design here at Victory and at Prestige, and Atlas's designs are all in 2D CAD. We've done all this work on our systems. We've got to try and like rebuild those units into our systems and processes. So there's a lot of work to do there. So we might start by just offering a couple of models, but we think that there's a lot of history in that brand. People will want that brand.
There is.
We're doing a lot where we're offering finance packages to parks, and to say you don't just take Victory on exclusivity, you take Prestige, Atlas, and Victory. It gives that real choice of what type of model they're going for. Yeah, and I think there's a big piece to do around the strategy around how we go to market with that proposition. It's like anything. Rome wasn't built in a day, and there's a long way to go. But we're in this for the long run, and these acquisitions show that we're investing in what we believe is the future of the industry. We want to be here for generations. We're a 6th generation family business. So how do we do that? It takes time, but
of course,
building on that journey. And every day there's something new that we're doing. But that's the exciting thing about working with us. We're not standing still doing the same things that we've always done. If you want something new and you want to do something a little bit differently, then we're the partner for you, basically.
And how soon are you hoping to sort of get Atlases running through the line and start producing?
How soon does someone want to give me a large order?
You're very true.
That I'd put out there to anybody listening to this. If you want some, then we'll build.
Yeah.
But,
brilliant.
I think, it'll be driven by demand. We're telling people what we're doing, and if people are interested, then we will do it. But it'll be driven by insights, demand, all that type of stuff. Instead of just this seems like a really good idea, let's do it. Let's put it out there, and if people want to do it, then great. But
looks good for the future.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yes.
We all need some things to come our way, don't we? The industry in terms
we do
some, but I think we've got to remain optimistic, and that's and keep investing. And if we all keep investing in the industry, then it will come round. I think it's when people stop investing, and that's when that's when it's really worrying. But if people keep investing, then you will draw customers and consumers in.
We've got to keep it moving. Absolutely have to keep it moving. How do you apply entrepreneurial thinking in a multi-generational business like Rix?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's in our DNA, which I know is easy to say, but it's basically, it comes down to leadership, leading from the front. So people probably get absolutely fed up with the number of ideas that I have. My dad would be probably exactly the same, creative problem solvers, but probably sometimes to the point where we're solving problems that we're just causing more work than we can actually currently deliver.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to work with people that are analytical and say no, but it drives from the top. But then we also incentivize all of our management teams to be entrepreneurial. So they run each different business across Rix is run with its own P&L. The director of that business and the team are incentivized directly based on that P&L. So they're incentivized to run their businesses as if it's theirs and in a very entrepreneurial way. And there's a certain...
At least you can say the word.
That'd be bad for me if I couldn't say it, wouldn't it?
It would, wouldn't it?
But it's that helps massively in terms of it's like their own baby, and when it's your own baby, you do have ideas, you want to drive things forward, and it comes down to putting the right people with the right mindset in the right positions and seeing some amazing things happen. It's it's just trying to keep up with everything when we're supporting. That's sometimes a challenge, and that's when we come calling on fantastic partners like you to help us on the journey when, you know, there's things that we want to achieve but we can't do it all ourselves. So we
Of course.
look across to other people to help us deliver our fantastic ideas, which obviously you did with the after sales portal, and that had a massive impact on our business and has taken us from being in a really bad situation with after sales to now probably, well, I would say the best in the holiday sector. That's certainly what we're seeing from some of the largest customers from this season. So it's now up to us to try and maintain that position.
Brilliant. And are you with that elite manufacturers product? And you know, it's something that we've grown together on over the last couple of years, and I can see how it has improved. You know, we've made improvements together over the time. Is that something that you're wanting to feed into Prestige and Atlas over time? The same product.
You're trying to get a sale on this, go?
Yeah.
You know me, Callum.
You already know the answer, Andy. So yeah, we're working really hard at the moment to standardise after sales processes across the two businesses.
Yes.
It's a big process of centralising that approach. Yeah, the after sales is quite easy. I know that's
no, I get it.
The main kind of like belly of the business is really difficult to transform, especially when they're in different locations. But after sales actually really, you know, should be able to be done from anywhere, and it's right at the end of the business. So I always think either end of the business is the easiest part for digital transformation because it doesn't have as much dependencies as something that's right in the middle that has to go upstream,
of course,
downstream in terms of the data. So yeah, we've got now a really good understanding of after sales, and yeah, it's definitely somewhere where in the next 3 months or so we want to be standardizing our systems and actually taking them to the next level to achieve things like letting people know when engineers are on their way. But it's
absolutely
it's a journey, as you guys know. You never end at the
yeah.
Probably what you're going to ask me next is what do I think the future looks like?
Exactly that, yeah. And that's sort of, I suppose, a good place to end, really. And you know, thank you so much for doing this today. It's been amazing. But what does excite you about the future for the holiday park and the leisure sector?
First, thank you very much for having me. It's been
no problem at all.
I always enjoy talking about these types of things, especially with people that are equally as enthusiastic as myself.
Yeah.
I think the future for me, you know, is something that anybody that works in digital is surrounded by at the moment, and that's artificial intelligence. And the future for me is an AI-enabled future where absolutely every single person, no matter what job you do, works with an AI co-pilot. I think changing perceptions on what that means is a massive challenge for the whole world, not just for our business, but that you've basically got a assistant that works with you now and makes you
absolutely
efficient. And I'm working in that way, and I have absolutely no qualms about telling people that I work in that way, where I use AI like I used to use Google. You know, it's part of my daily routine, but it's understanding how to work effectively with this tool, not how to just use it thinking it does your job for you. It's how does it make you more productive? How does it make you better at what you do? And we're really excited about some pilots that we're starting to do where we're looking at creating our own data sources and then putting a large language model over the top of those data sources. So an example might be, you know, how do I fix a victory wallboard might be the prompt that you put into our AI front end. And then a video pops up of our, you know, quality manager, Mark Henry, showing you exactly how you would actually, you know, do that. And, you know, basically creating our own database and prompts to enable AI across the manufacturing floor and right the way through the business, and then potentially even letting our customers use that. So that would mean that we can get our standard operating procedures, our ways of working, everything kind of proliferated out there, which will drive quality and improve the level of knowledge that everybody has in the business on what it means to be working at Victory, Prestige or Atlas.
To be fair, it's not dissimilar to what we're doing ourselves. We are training internally at the moment sales agents, they're called, that will go through all our internal documentation, and you can ask it live questions, and we're trying to make it move into the point we can get the customer to actually be able to engage with that as well.
It's just so key to write everything down, isn't it? So you have that data. That's where we are at the moment, just write everything down. I think I've written about 500,000 words on the industry and manufacturing in the last 2 years along with my team. So we're everything is getting written down, and we're moving on to video recording and everything like that, so that it's all documented.
Well, Harry, thank you very much for joining us today. We seem to have lost Andrew at the end there. I don't know. He's had enough. He's off. But thank you very much. It was great chatting with you.
No worries. Lovely to be here, guys, and hope all the listeners enjoy.
Thank you.
Well, that was a really, really good interview. Really enjoyed that. Worked alongside Harry for many years now with Victory, and yeah, very interesting. And what really came through for me is how much manufacturers care, about what's happening, all the way to the handover. It's not just about selling the holiday home at the start, maybe to the dealer or direct to the park. It's actually to the end user, and that really came through from Harry. And it's about understanding how they actually work on park layouts, maintenance, access. It's understanding the actual use of the holiday home at the end. I found that really interesting, that they're actually making the holiday homes to fit, whether it be a fleet unit or a unit that's owned. That was really interesting.
Down to where the bins would go and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, that doesn't even come in someone's head. No. Where can we put a Roomba? Where can we put like a smart device? Where can we do this? And you think, and the fact that Victory and Harry, and obviously they're working with the maintenance and the housekeeping teams to actually go, right,
it's incredible.
How are you accessing this? What are you using this cupboard for? You were talking about taking what are they called? Taking hoovers back and forth and actually making space for that and how they can make it better.
But that
was just
that's what that thought process is all about, though. It's not just building a home and going, it looks good, it's nice. Yes. It's actually thinking of the team on the park, the end user, whether they be on holiday or they own it, to think of all those things. Because we've all stayed in caravans or lodges, and how many times why is there not a plug socket there?
Yeah.
Why is that chair there?
There's always the bedrooms. Remember in the twin rooms that the socket would have been down behind the little shelf.
Yeah.
Like, why? I can't get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So very interesting.
I think it's the only way to be in this day and age, though, is to take the feedback from everybody and use it to push yourself forward. I think that's how you stand out, and it really comes across.
It does.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. Brilliant interview.
I love it. I think we should have Harry on all the time.
We should.
He is so passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
They do over there. So we're excited to see where they sort of move in the future with that. I think, and aligning all that with the parks, the products, the guest experience. It's so fully thought out, and I don't think sometimes we give. I know from a park perspective, we particularly maybe didn't give them the credit that they actually deserve, because we just walk in and go, "It's nice. How much?"
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than actually go. I think getting to understand that full design process and why they've made specific choices and them adapting it to the new markets. And obviously you've got the higher end stuff with Prestige. So they are having that entire, I think Harry referred to it as like the gold, silver and bronze.
That's it,
of the manufacturers on the caravan. So they're continuing to push, and some really, really exciting things that'll be coming out from them.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, you enjoyed our conversation with Harry, make sure that you do subscribe to us on Spotify so that you can listen to more exciting conversations coming your way in the future. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram as well. If you just want to hear us clipped up and saying the most exciting bits of the conversation, you can join us there as well. But for myself, Andrew and Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you in another episode.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.